At the start of this year, I remember that I had to read two books for an English assignment. I remember while I was reading these books, it felt like they were just dragging on and on and on. And this is how I'd felt about books for the past couple of years, really. It felt like every time I read a book, it was just schoolwork. It was boring for me. This was how it had been up until very recently. I didn't read much in my own time, even though it was something I'd said I'd always wanted to do. I didn't read that much. And like this is a common thing. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, I wish I read more." But it only takes one look into your school library at lunchtime to see that people are not reading. That is, people in the younger generation are not reading. They'd rather go on their phones and just scroll. One day, I decided I had enough. I decided I was making too many excuses and that I was just going to start reading. It all started with Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'd wanted to form some better habits as I wanted to take my life in a new trajectory than the one that I was currently in. I didn't want to settle for being mediocre. And I figured building good habits would lead me to building a better life. So I read Atomic Habits and I loved it. After that, I was hooked on the self improvement genre. I think I've read more in since I've read Atomic Habits, which was around the middle of May. I think I've read more in those 4 months. I've read more books in that period of time than I have in the last 4 years. That is just ridiculous to me. Like 4 months ago, I couldn't fathom reading as much as I did, as I have. I've read 8 books, or nearly 8 books. I'm on my 8th book, but I'm like halfway through right now. It's actually this book right here, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's a good book. So why did I start reading again? And why should you? Well, I think the main thing for me was that I stopped playing video games. I'm like, what? You don't play video games? What? I stopped because I realized that I was mainly playing games for the friendship aspect. I was only really playing games because my friends played them. Once I realized my friends were no longer my friends, I sort of just cut off gaming altogether. It wasn't easy. Like, I still sometimes have cravings to go back and play video games, but I don't act on them. You see, quitting gaming allowed me to have so much more free time on my hands. And that free time was increased even more when I deleted Instagram and, well, I'd already deleted TikTok way earlier. But deleting Instagram was something that was important for me because I spent a lot of time on Instagram, whether intentionally or intentionally, most likely intentionally. Unintentionally, I mean. because you just end up clicking on one reel by accident. Well, not by accident, you click on a reel, and then all of a sudden you've been scrolling for 20 minutes at least. It's so easy to get caught in a trap on Instagram and just waste away time because you just don't realize how much time you're spending. So once I got rid of Instagram and once I stopped playing video games, I realized I have so much more free time. And that's when I realized I could use that free time to start doing the things I'd always wanted to do, such as reading. I got really invested into self-development. I'd always been interested in the topic, and I'd been practicing NoFap for a while, but I only sort of started to really get deeper into self-improvement once I started reading books. I was always interested in it, fucking hell, and I'd never sort of read the books for it. But once I started reading the books, I realized there's so much more to self-improvement. Self-improvement is such a broad area, and there's so many different parts of it. It's not just going to the gym, NoFap, and quitting alcohol and stuff. It's building your own business, it's building your passions, it's loving yourself. It's such a broad topic and there's so many different areas of it. So once I finally started reading books, I realized I had so much to learn. And that's when I realized I must become a lifelong student and learn from every situation that I can. Books allow you to have access to any mentor you want for a small fee. I think a book in America is like $15 US. In my country, a book is like $30. So for the small price of $30, I can basically have access to any mentor I ever want. It seems like a small price to pay, and that's because it is. There's so much value you can get out of self-improvement books. And it's for such a small price in the grand scheme of things. This is why I've continued to read the books. Because it's just so cheap and you get so much value from it. And it's much cheaper than the other hobbies that I'd been doing, such as gaming, where a new game's like $100 where I live. Whereas I could buy 3 books for the price of one game. And I'd get more value out of it. I'd learn more things. It just makes more sense to me to spend money on things that will actually help me, rather than wasting my money on things that are just going to waste my time. My increase in reading self-development books coincided with me starting to go to the gym. I realized that I needed to sort of build myself, because in order for these self-improvement books to mean anything, you have to take action. It's all well and good reading and knowing the stuff, but as Robert Oppenheimer said, theory can only get you so far. You have to apply what you learn in order for it to be actually useful to you. So I got into the gym. And once I did, I saw myself begin to love myself a lot more, because I was valuing my body, and I was really falling in love with the process of the gym rather than just the end goal of getting the body that I desired. I mean, sure, I would love to get the body I desire, and I know I eventually will. But I've fallen in love with the process of actually going to the gym. I enjoy doing the activity. Because of that, it's going to be so much easier for me to get the body I want, because I actually enjoy the process. If I didn't enjoy working out, there wouldn't be much point in me going to the gym. Like, if I'd been working out for this long, and as long as I have, I mean, which is like 3 months now, I think, 2 months, 3 months, there would be no point in me doing weightlifting and stuff, because it's just not enjoyable to me. But because I do enjoy it, and I've fallen in love with the process, it makes sense for me to just keep doing it, because I'm already enjoying it. So I'm getting dopamine from it as it is. And then on top of that, I'm actually gaining something positive from it. So when you take action from your self-improvement books, that is when you will start to see results actually form. But obviously, that'll take a long time. But you're not gonna see anything without first making any progress towards the goal. My last point is that books force you to pay attention to what you're reading. You see, when you're reading a book, you're not just mindlessly scrolling on your phone. You're reading and interpreting words and sort of trying to understand what's being said. I found that this is something I've only just started doing with this book specifically. I've started, like, I don't know if you can see it, I've been highlighting like key bits of information throughout the pages, and I found that with this, I've been paying more attention to what I'm reading, because I've been trying to take notes on it, or leave notes for my future self. Once I've finished reading this book, I'll go through again in like a month or two. In like a month or two, I'll go through this book again, and I'll take notes on it from the highlights I've made in the book already. It means I'll be able to get some valuable insights, and it means I'll be able to take the key bits of information out of this book and apply them to real life. It also means I'm just more alert when I'm reading the book, because I'm constantly looking for little bits of information that I can highlight to use in the future. This is how you should read self-improvement books. You should read and highlight, because it allows you to retain the information later on. Anyway, I hope you found value in this video. I hope I've convinced you that you should start reading again. Now stop consuming and go create.